And I'll say this, some people view this story as evidence or support that the concept of the tithe preceded the Mosaic law, or the institution and the giving of the Mosaic law. My own personal understanding of this story, which could be wrong, is that I don't think this story is giving us commentary on the tithe, nor giving us instruction or direction to tithe. This tenth that Abram gives isn't technically even about money to begin with. But Abraham views all of this stuff as belonging to God, rightfully, which brings us back to the previous verse about God being the possessor of heaven and earth. And I think this is why Abram gives a tenth to Melchizedek, who is a representative and a priest of God Most High. So this Melchizedek seems to be a middleman of sorts between God and people. So he has some kind of priestly service, which involves invoking God's blessing upon people and bringing out bread and wine. So if Melchizedek is dispensing God's blessing, right, on behalf of God, then he can receive God's gifts on behalf of God as well as a priest. The question becomes, why a tenth or a tithe? And there may be some historical evidence that the cultural norm of that day was to give a tenth of what you had to the kingdom you were part of and the king that you were under. So maybe this was a fairly normal practice, but even so, no one told Abram to do this. He didn't have to. And what we see very similarly is Abram's grandson Jacob, who will later be known as Israel. He does this exact thing in Genesis 28:20. He makes a vow to God, so hold on to the vow. Jacob makes a vow to God after having a dream from God, and he says, if God's going to be with me and keep me, then I'll give God a tenth of everything that God gives me. So either that practice was passed down, or Jacob saw it modeled, or it was a known practice, but Abram seems to have that same mentality that, hey, God gave me the spoil, it rightfully belongs to God as the possessor of heaven and earth, so I'm going to give a tenth of the spoil to the man, the priest king who represents God. And I'll say this, some people view this story as evidence or support that the concept of the tithe preceded the Mosaic law, or the institution and the giving of the Mosaic law. But my own personal understanding of this story, which could be wrong, is that I don't think this story is giving us commentary on the tithe, nor giving us instruction or direction to tithe. This tenth that Abram gives isn't technically even about money to begin with. Abram is already said to have a bunch of silver and gold in chapter 13. So even though money could be included in the spoils and the possessions, what he's giving a tenth of is the spoil of war. And it's specifically said to at least be the possessions of the people in verse 16. Right? So the northern kings take all the possessions along with Lot and the possessions, his possessions, and the women and the people. Hey, if you don't know me, my name is Jason, and I have some free gifts for you on our website at abovereproachministry.com. Maybe you want to learn how to study the Bible. We have free Bible classes just for you. Are you maybe a newer believer? Go ahead and check out our Christianity 101 Foundations course. Maybe you hate videos. Well, we have a podcast, so you can listen to all of our messages on whatever podcast platform you prefer. Maybe you want to join or start a discussion group. Check out our map of all the current armed discussion groups all around the world. And do you maybe live near Greenville, South Carolina? If you do, you should check out our church. Visit movementchurchsc.com for more information. And if you'd like to partner with us financially, you can snag a copy of my book, Fruitful, or head over to the donate page and donate through debit or credit card, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Patreon, or even mail a check to P.O. Box 509 Inman, South Carolina. And if you want to make a ministry connection, feel free to reach out to me on our website. All right, I know that was a lot, but I'm done. So let's get back to the video. So what we're looking at, the spoil of war, is at least stuff, not necessarily money, though that could be included. So there may be a wisdom principle, or even a glimpse into the heart of the law within this. We can't prescribe tithing based on this scripture alone. I don't think that's a proper hermeneutic or honest to the text. I think this is a different thing than the Mosaic law and the tithe prescribed within that. That tithe supports the work of the priests in Israel. They're a theocracy under God. And so even though it may function quite similarly here, where we see Melchizedek is a priest, he represents God, it's not for Israel as a theocracy. It's not a perfect one-for-one correlation. This tithe isn't feeding an entire priesthood and tribe, that being Levi. They don't depend on this. And specifically, the spoils of war here are what Abram's giving, not a tenth of the harvest or the agricultural production like we see in the law. The Israelites bring a tenth of their harvest and their production agriculturally. They bring it for the Levites. So again, this is similar, and there might be some correlation, but it's not an exact one-for-one exchange like we see in the law of Israel or for Israel. Verse 21, the king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me the persons, but take the stuff for yourself." And I want us to really think about this. I said this in 2 previous episodes ago, that the king of Sodom and the king of Salem, Melchizedek, they're contrasted. They're representing 2 different realities, 2 different conditions, 2 different heart postures, really. The king of Sodom says, "Give me," right? The wicked king here, very different from Melchizedek, is taking and demanding, while Melchizedek, he gives, he brings, he blesses, he gives bread and wine to Abram. And over both these kings and Abram, God is over sovereignly all of them, possessing all things as the eternally existent King of the universe. Hey, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more biblical content just like this. We have hundreds of videos, but you might be most interested in these ones right here. Also, visit our website for all of our free resources and classes. And thank you so much for partnering with us financially to make this ministry even possible. Keep moving towards Jesus, and I'll see you in the next video.